Well, 20 years ago, I was planning to go to law school and preparing just my life, packing, getting the final details for my journey to Columbus to start law school. And one night, my mother was in a terrible accident. And in the blink of an eye, literally, my life changed. My siblings' lives changed. My dad's life changed. And we were devastated. So in a matter of minutes, the matriarch of our family, just everything changed. And we were just left with picking up the pieces. And we eventually met the prosecutor that was handling the case, and were relieved because they were informed, they were prepared, they had spoken with law enforcement, and the whole time we were trying to come to terms with her death, they were working on this case, trying to seek justice. It was my first involvement with the police on any level. It was the first involvement I had with a prosecutor on any level. And it was just nice knowing that we could continue to put the pieces back in our life, and they would continue to do their job in helping us seek some type of justice. Why did I become a prosecutor? It's a myriad of things, but the desire to do something you're passionate for, and the desire for me to be able to feel helpful, useful, to feel as though I'm serving the community that helped me become the young lady I was at that time. The best part of being a prosecutor is working for an office whose sole job it is to seek justice. That's amazing. I can't think of an employer that mission and goal fits and is more aligned with who I am as a person. When you're a prosecutor, you come into work, and every minute, every hour, every day you put into a case, it means something to somebody somewhere. It can be difficult, in any case, to give it everything you have, to do your very best, to pull every resource you have at your disposal, to know that the police officers and detectives have done their very best in reporting the crime, that witnesses have come forward and spoken their truth about what they've seen, and that victims have been brave enough, resilient enough to come forward and do everything they can to report what happened to them, and still not get justice for them. It can take your breath away. But I think what's the most difficult part is knowing that that's not your life. You weren't a victim of that crime. Somebody else was. And so you feel like you've let them down. So that is definitely the most difficult part of the job. This case happened years ago. I was a young prosecutor, still being mentored by several people, but I was handling sex cases. And I had a case where a young man, he was about 12 years old, he played sports, he was outgoing, he had been the victim of repeated molestation by a baseball coach. And when I met him, I felt so bad for him. He was angry, he was upset, he was confused, he was hurt. I met his mother. She was devastated. I met his brother. He was hurt. The effect of what happened to him just went so much further than just him. We eventually went to trial, and the jurors cried, but they did not convict. It was an emotional case, and they left feeling as though this young man had been violated, but they felt like they wanted something more. It was devastating to the victim. Several weeks later, had a second trial, same defendant, and that victim had been raped and molested by this baseball coach 15 years prior. He and I were the same age. We'd grown up in the same community. We'd probably seen each other at some point when we were younger at games, practices, the YMCA. He had suffered so much in all those years because he never reported it. And he struggled with drugs and alcohol, and just, he was brave enough to come forward. We had the trial, and the defendant was convicted. The satisfaction that it brought both families, now forever, bonded and connected to this horrible event and this horrible person, is a case I'll never forget. That case will stay with me forever. I will never forget that young man. I will never forget his family. I will never forget his story. I will never forget the second victim and his story. I will never forget how close you can be to a child molester in the community. I will never forget that. He worked at a community center. He had access to hundreds and thousands of young men. And so that case just, I think, it solidified what it meant for me to be a prosecutor on a case. I had lost one case, I'd won another one. Both were equally difficult to just get through. But that was the case I'll never forget. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about prosecutors is that we're in this for like some personal gain, that we just want to win, that these cases don't really mean anything to us, that this is a job, that we come in and we briefly look at the file, we kind of very quickly maybe talk to a couple of people related to the case, and then we're off to court to argue, but we don't really mean or feel what we're arguing. And that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. There are so many hours that we put into these cases. There's evenings that you will spend in your office working on a case. There are so many weekends that you will try to spend time with your family, but you'll have that nagging feeling that you should put some time into maybe a case that's set for trial that's coming up. And so the biggest misconception for me is that this is public service. We are public servants. We are here to serve the public. We don't choose our cases. These are people that have been harmed. These cases come to us, and when we get them, we do everything we can to see it through.